Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Deliver Enterprise Value from Your Digital Workplace with Geodesic and Acumatica. We're going to give folks a few more minutes to get logged in. We see a couple still trickling in, and we'll get started in about a minute or two, so hang tight, and we'll get started soon. All right, let's get started. So thank you for everyone for joining us today for our webinar, Deliver Enterprise Value from Your Digital Workplace. Can we move to the next slide now? All right, so I'm going to introduce our first today, our speakers. So we have from Geodesic, Richard Gledhill. He's a managing partner. He has over 25 years of experience as both a digital leader in a large multinational financial service organization, as well as a consultant working with large blue chip companies. He is passionate about the digital employee experience and modern working culture. He is a managing partner, as I said, of Geodesic, where he is the champion of the modern organizational ecosystem. In his spare time, he is a sailor, a VR aviator, and a keeper of 2 demanding Bengal cats. With him at Geodesic speaking today, he has Chris Hardy. Chris is naturally passionate about tech. He was fortunate enough to be able to enlist in the digital revolution early on. He has over 22 years in digital. He's advised many companies and organizations across a broad range of industries and the potential offering by online and digital medium, while identifying appropriate solutions and developing strategies to meet their specific business needs. Following them, we have our very own Troy Trudel. He's the Vice President of Alliances here at Acumatica. Troy is an industry vet who has been in the space for almost 20 years and is extremely passionate about helping organizations deliver a better employee experience. He serves as Acumatica's Vice President of Alliances, where he is instrumental in shaping our partner ecosystem with fantastic partners such as Geodesic, who's speaking today, that can help deliver our brand promise of loving the way you work. Next slide, please. So at Acumatica and Geodesic, we've come together because we value engaged employees, efficient processes, and want to help deliver effective technologies that ultimately are key to successful work environments and ultimately help make the business successful. A little bit about Geodesic. They're advocates of the modern workplace. They believe that engaged employees, efficient processes, and efficient technologies are the key, as mentioned, to those successful work environments. With proven methods and guided approaches, they provide consulting, coaching, and coordination to unlock potential in enterprise organizations internationally. For those of you unfamiliar with Akumina, we are a platform company with north of 1,000 clients across 5 million daily active users. At the core, Akumina delivers a modern employee experience platform that empowers global enterprises to quickly create personalized digital experiences that help every employee in every role work smarter, not harder. By offering a customizable, branded, multilingual experience, our platform seamlessly integrates with SharePoint, Office 365, as well as other leading enterprise applications such as ServiceNow, Workday, Salesforce, Jira. The list goes on and on. Akumina does this and delivers a contextual, collaborative, engaging workplace experience to every user on any device. Next slide. So this is our agenda for today. I'll save you guys some time and not go through each point, but we do have, I bring it up just to let you folks know we do have a jam-packed agenda, so we're going to try and get through every point. And we will also have a demonstration and a Q&A at the end for those of you who are interested in seeing that. With that, I'm going to hand it over to our friends at Geodesic. Richard and Christian, you may begin.
Hello, and good morning and good afternoon.
Yes, hello to everyone who's still got morning zone and the afternoon zone.
There we go. So a nice segue into our slides. So we're going to mix it up, a little bit of face-to-face and a little bit of PowerPoint. So don't worry, you're not going to have to look at the fluffy bunny rabbit the whole way through.
That's what I'm saying.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right, can you?
So, for our love of our bunny rabbit, the workplace has changed a lot. And we've had to go through quite a bit to adjust. I mean, originally it was a pen and paper thing. It was just, you had a little diary book and that was enough. Next thing you know, you have pen and paper and a diary and a typewriter. Okay, that's kind of fun. A pen and paper, a diary, and a telephone. Simple enough, seems to make things easier. As things moved on, okay, we don't have a typewriter anymore, we have a computer, we have a nicer phone. Pen and paper, diary, computer, still the nice phone, a big brick of a phone that we call a mobile. Devices got a little bit smaller. Suddenly we have this thing called a smartphone.
And we lost the diary.
So we lose a diary. We replace the paper with Post-it notes, which is a bit of a stretch, but some people can identify. But then all of a sudden we've got, we're not really using phones anymore. We're starting to do conferences and video conferences. We've got a smartphone, we got a tablet, we got a fitness tracker, IoT, and so on and so on. Are things really getting simpler? Same thing goes with our personal communication. We had snail mail today, phone and snail mail. Phone, snail mail, and email. Now it gets fun. From chat, our mobile phone to postal to email to chatting. Now we're doing video conferences. We're talking on the go. We're talking in our offices and at home. We've got snail mail, email, chat. Still, are things getting simpler? Places that we work. Used to be we went to go to work and we worked at the office. Well, now we work in the office, meeting rooms, down at the coffee house. Starbucks didn't promote this, so I wasn't going to say their name. No, on the construction site, on the assembly line, at home, on the couch, in the airplane. Everything about where we're working and how we're working has changed, and we're even working on the go. So you remember the good old days? You wanted to get information? Well, you either got a letter at home, whatever, you're working at the office. Well, you went by the bulletin board, which was usually not far away from either the water cooler or the coffee machine. Find out what's going on, where do I need to go, what do I need to know, where do I tell everybody the fact that I'm moving the bicycle and I'm giving away my parking space. Next thing you know, we have internet. Internet's great because everything's digital, we can find everything. It was beautiful. You know, this might have been one of the early ones, but I'm pretty sure that the first ones that you saw weren't much different. We thought, okay, well, we got that organized. Now, do we need to give up the bulletin board? So why is it that we're still doing this in our elevators? You know, we have our internets, we have all the collaboration tools, we have all these different ways to communicate, and we're still sticking things up in the elevator.
We actually have an overload of those tools coming in. So you know, not just one tool now, but hundreds and hundreds of tools are being bombarded. Should I take Teams? Should I take Slack? What do I need?
Tools and devices, and devices and tools, and then a different tool for a different device, and some work together and some don't. And now you're trying to figure out what are you doing with that, and why, you know, why wasn't just a simple internet, you know?
Well, now the idea is to pull those things together. Must be able to pull those together. We can, you know, I've got Salesforce, I've got SAP, you know, put all those together on one desktop, that would be great.
Well, so now we're actually talking about this strange thing that everybody keeps calling digital workplace.
Absolutely.
And why do we have to deal with it?
So I guess the question is, how do we go about getting a digital workplace? I think what we see is that there are lots of different ways of doing that. Maybe it's a good idea to highlight some of the issues that people are seeing.
You mean make it easier for them?
Have you got an idea?
Or maybe how things have gone wrong.
How things go wrong, sounds good.
All right. Fair enough. So where things went wrong?
Well, I think quite a bit of what goes wrong is people are doing many of the right things, but not necessarily in the right order. A bit like the school band, you know they're going to play the right notes, but it might not be the right notes in the order at the right time.
Well, but they're still playing. I mean, it works, sort of.
Yeah, you have to sit through it.
Okay.
Collect some needs.
Well, I think that seems sort of sensible. I mean, collecting some really sophisticated needs on what I need for my business. And, I mean, having a cool interface, that's important, isn't it? Having it needs to be a bit faster, doesn't it? We should be able to do a couple events here and there. I mean, that's enough. I mean, what else do I really need to know? That's what everybody else shows me. If I look at the videos online, for software, that's what they tell me. That's what I need. So that's pretty cool. Why don't we just put that up on the board?
It's a good start. But it's what I get in YouTube. I go into YouTube and I get adverts for intranet in a box, and I see many of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So maybe that's part of it.
Step. All right.
We need money.
Now we know what we want. Let's just go get the money. That's easy enough.
Yeah. Go to the board, tell them we want it.
I mean, I thought it was cool. They will. All right.
And if we get the money first, then we can then go to the stakeholders and talk to them.
I mean, I guess we could deal with it later.
We can come later down the path. Yeah.
All right. Let's buy it. Okay, so it looks cool.
Yeah.
It fits our brainstorming session.
Yeah.
And the board's going to give us money anyway. It's clear.
It's not that expensive.
It's within sort of our budget, so we'll go with that. Let's just buy it. And then we'll iron it.
Well, actually, what we can do, there's some great reports out there. We can get a report. We can look at the report, and we can look at the kind of cool features that the software has, and just buy the one that looks best.
That's actually good. That way we can blame them. All right.
Yeah.
Works for me. Okay, so let's go to the business meeting, get it, go to the leadership and say, let's get some money.
Okay, so I think there are going to be some questions.
You think there's gonna be some questions?
Yeah.
We had all the answers we came with, and those were just great.
Yeah.
Prepared.
Have you run this past the BU heads?
We're gonna iron that out later. We're convinced, though, we convinced.
Is the employee engagement actually not an HR topic?
Maybe, but we can deal with that later. It's flexible, we're agile.
And if we're going to save everyone so much time with their searches, how many people can we actually lay off as a result of that? Or how are we going to get more out of them?
I don't know if we can figure those numbers yet, but there's a lot of potential. Yeah, that's something that one at least at the latest stage, once you're standing in front of leadership and you try to come up with your quick presentation and a quick video of what a software can do, you're going to find that things get a lot more difficult from there.
People ask questions that are financially relevant, and financially relevant, you need some kind of case.
Why now?
Why do it now?
You know, what's wrong with what we've got now?
Yeah. What happens if we do it later, so we actually shift it into next year's budget? All of those are the
We just spent a lot of money on ERP. Why are we doing this? Now we're going into e-commerce too. We're doing a whole bunch of online marketing. Do we need to buy this too?
Yeah, well, Microsoft have that anyway.
Because it wasn't in our, yeah, but it wasn't in our business objectives for this year. So, I mean, obviously, but the thing that happens is that, you know, you get the, well, we're sorry, but right now is not the time. Why don't you come back at a better time? Maybe there's a better moment, or, yeah, we'll give that some thought, and they don't get back to you. Okay, so a little bit more concretely, getting it right.
Yeah.
All right, so how would you do it so that you actually get through that meeting? How do you go through it so that you're prepared after you get that money?
Well, the first thing that you really have to do is you actually have to talk to your business first. So before you talk to your board, you've actually got to talk to the business. You've got to find out what your actual business needs are. You've got to find some problems to solve. And as you're talking to people, you will find allies and you will find lobbyists. And those are the guys who are actually going to get past the board.
Build an army and then have some support before you walk in.
Recruit the majors.
Okay, sounds like sound advice.
Yeah.
Next,
I would definitely have a vision for where I want to go. I need to communicate that because these projects aren't a one-stop shop. It's not, I put this in, that's it, I'm done.
But I had this great vision. I saw the presentation, I saw the software, I want that.
Yeah,
that's a vision.
Yeah, but does that vision align with your organizational vision?
We can deal with that later, can't we?
No. Does it align with your cultural vision from your HR teams? So getting that vision, getting that alignment across all of those pieces so that the digital workplace is a fundamental part of your organizational direction is really important. And
so your organization is what you're building it for, not what the software company's giving you.
I think that's probably slightly more important, yeah.
Okay, principles.
The other thing is I would actually define principles. I would define principles for which the digital workplace as a whole is going to operate. So, for example, I am not going to do anything in my digital workplace that doesn't bring an improvement in the employee experience.
Okay.
I am not going to do anything in my digital workplace that prevents the business being agile.
All right.
So I take those principles and build a fundamental set that I can take and I can use that to go to my board and say, these are the things I want to do. I want to save money. I want to be faster. I want to be more inclusive with the systems that I connect to. I want to reduce the maintenance and the management on everything I do. These are the kind of things that I can put in there. Now, those principles have some great benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, once I got my agreement to those principles at a very high level, it's very much easier to get agreement to a principle than it is to get someone to agree to an end solution. Because I need to be able to get to the end solution. So a set of principles is much easier to get across. Second thing is I've empowered my team. So if they're working within those principles, they're always making decisions whether they're going left, whether they're going right. They have the signposts they need to actually
lines to color inside.
The lines to color inside.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I can empower them. Next thing is those principles are really helping me put together my strategic direction, and they are really helping me put together my business case, because those are the things that I'm actually going to be connecting to as I go through it. They're also giving me the core milestones where I can hang my KPIs for, am I actually getting success out of the project?
So they give me lines that I can color within the lines.
Yep.
They're giving me something that I can measure success against. And most importantly, when I'm talking to leadership and trying to get money or their support, it's something that they can understand beyond what may be a complicated vision.
Yes, sir.
All right, so know your market. What do I need to know about the market? What do I need to understand?
There are an awful lot of people out there, an awful lot of software vendors out there. And there is a very large group that are trying to sell you their solution.
Right.
And their solutions might not be the right one for your business, but they might have some great ideas. So definitely look at the market, understand the market, know what those things are going to bring you, know what they cost, because you're going to need that when you go to your exec and say, actually, dear executive board, I want X amount of money. You need that. But really go and take a look. You'll get some inspiration out of that. Don't just ask the software vendors for their view, ask them for their customers' views as well, because their customers are doing the clever stuff with the software.
Right. The other thing to remember is the software sounds, I mean, there are many promises that go across the board. So you're looking at many, many different features, many, many different options that you can have. And the tendency is not to close doors on yourself and try to get as many features and options as possible, but you're not thinking about your organization. And it's about your organization fitting to whatever new paradigm you might be introducing.
Well, I've already gone and asked my business what they want before I actually even went to the vendors. I have a good idea of what I want. Now, I'm going to get inspiration as I go through those things. As I look, I'm going to say, oh, that's really cool to do that. But always the question of, does that fit my organization? The problem is that we can actually get the software solution dictating the way your organization has to work.
Right.
Now, in some cases, you're looking for improvement in the way you work, you're looking to be more effective, and actually you look at these software and you think, you know, that might actually do it. But you need to look at that software holistically. Is it actually helping across the board of all the things that you're going to do, or is it just solving that little one problem that, hey, you know, hey, comms can really publish news much easier, but at the same time, I'm closing off options for integration, for onboarding, and for all of the cool stuff that I can actually get a return on investment on in the later stages.
So it's all right to be inspired by all those options and features, but when it comes to making the decisions, those are then have to be directly aligned with what you've discovered that your organization's actually looking for.
Absolutely.
All right. So you've gone together, done some research, you've done your homework,
yes, sir.
Figured out what your business needs are.
Yep.
Yeah. You've gone and recruited champions, sponsors, allies, lobbyists.
I haven't, in some cases, I haven't even recruited them. They've jumped on board because they've seen a solution to their problem. And, you know, if I go to a department and I say, what are your problems? And I find someone and I go, actually, you know, I can solve this and this for you. They're already on board.
Okay. And now I've taken that, I've compared, I've done research on the market, compared it to what's available. So I see that. I have guideposts that I've set up with my principals to test everything against.
Yeah.
And I have this overall vision that I've been trying to realize in the first place. It sounds an awful lot like I've got a business case.
You have got a business case.
It sounds an awful lot like I have a strategy.
You have most of your strategy in there as well.
Okay. So would now be a good time to try to sell this and get some money?
Now's quite a good time to go to the board. But when you go to the board, there's one set of questions that they're going to be asking you. So obviously they're going to want to know the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to know what happens if we do nothing with it. How can we avoid doing this? They're going to want to know who's on board with it.
Yeah.
They're going to want to know what it costs, how long it's going to take to come in. And you need to go in with those things, otherwise you're dead in a board. And going in with, hey, here's a great demo of a piece of software normally doesn't work. 20-minute demo, you've got 5-6 slides with the board, that's it. Help them make the decision.
So they need the basis for those decisions, and they need to have them formulated in such a way that they can digest them against their concerns.
Quickly digest them against their concerns, connected to the business strategy, business values, HR options. There are some major milestones in organizations. Connect with those things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you're going to get the positive reaction that you're looking for. In other words, do you have support behind you?
Yes, I do.
Is right now the right time to do it?
Well,
why didn't we do this before?
SharePoint 2010 is at end of life. I have to do it now, otherwise I'm going to be investing more money for an upgrade that I don't need.
Yeah. How much does it cost, and why is it so cheap? Why is it cheaper than the last thing that we tried?
Well, actually, that's another really interesting one, because we used to build these software pieces from scratch, and the technology has come along an awfully long way. Even in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a quantum leap in the capabilities of these various products in the market, in Microsoft themselves. What we haven't always seen is the similarity of the equal increase of the user experience and the products. So we're seeing many new products. We're seeing a bounce in the product availability. We're seeing wonderful features, and actually it's an overload for many people. So some of this is about simplifying and pulling back.
I also think the managed risk, committing to principles, which are basically setting you up on guideposts, is something that any leadership board will be more comfortable about, because those are their greater concerns. Are you going to stay within the lines? Is this a very fluffy idea? It sounds very good, but we don't know how to measure it or place it against our business needs and objectives. And lastly, we have something that we can hold you accountable towards as you try to run the initiative.
Yeah.
And that's a comfortable decision to make.
It is a comfortable decision to make. Not only that, but I can report against it as well.
Right. Okay. All right, so leadership says yes, gives you the money to do it.
Yes.
Now you can start your initiative and your project. Interesting. You've gotten so much done already with putting that together.
Well, we've actually front-loaded the project, and I know that sounds a little bit scary, because you think I'm investing the money up front, but actually what you're doing is you're setting the groundwork. You're building a foundation, and on top of that foundation, you can then build your agile steps. So when you're thinking at a foundation level for something that has massive organizational impact, and in all honesty, if it isn't having massive organizational impact, then you haven't got that strong business case anyway. Right. Going to the board and saying, hey board, I really want to get a few $100,000 in order to do something that tells everyone what's in the canteen for lunch is not going to fly. Right. If I say, hey dear board, I can do something where I can make new employees effective more quickly, get them up to speed more quickly, and improve their experience and the onboarding experience, then at least the HR guys' ears are going to prick up.
Well, that'll be specifically interesting when a new employee comes into a company and all of a sudden they feel like they're a little bit more oriented and moving a little bit faster because they're getting the information without having to talk to XYZ employee, spend time with them who don't really have time for them right now. Smoothing those kind of processes, making that simpler, having that as a jump point is great. Okay, so we set together a business case, We were able to set up a vision. We were able to go get the money for it, set up the initiative. And by doing so, we already recruited most of the members of the project.
Yeah.
We already took the major jump, if not already done a lot of the defining.
Well, we also did a lot of the defining, but we defined at a really high level. So we defined the vision of where we want to go. And when we selected our software, we didn't restrict.
Right.
So we said, okay, let's take all of these things that people want and that make sense, and we'll put those in there. What we now do is we prioritize those.
Okay.
So, you know, the market now talks quite a lot about minimum viable products. I don't believe in minimum viable products. I believe in minimal lovable products. Because I actually want not only that we have something that is viable, I want everyone to actually use it. So this is where the stakeholder engagement also comes in. So we go along, we talk to those guys, we do agile work with those guys to actually solve their individual problems, and we show them the results. And I have them on board the whole way through.
So making acceptance part of viability. Acceptance
is always a part of viability. There's no point in building something if no one uses it.
All right, so out of that, you have a really high chance that you're going to get the engagement that you're looking for, and the engaged, from your stakeholder groups down to the actual employees and feedback. The other thing that's important, though, is that it really doesn't stop there. It's not something that you will ever be able to formulate and satisfy on the first day. It's a launch and learn process. You're going to go through this process continuously. You're going to test what you've seen, and your initial vision might change, but the principles that have been guiding you continue to do so. You can still measure what the success of that, but you also can make adjustments. You need to experiment, move it along, and as you continue, you will find what works, what doesn't, and hopefully have a very successful workplace.
And those are the things that actually you're also looking for when you're picking your software. You're looking for that flexibility to be able to do that launch and learn. So some solutions out there, you will find that it's great, and I code it up, and I configure it up, and I have everything that I need, and I think it's wonderful. I don't get that acceptance, and it's actually really difficult to change it, or I'm doing a lot of rework to change it, and that doesn't work either. So you have to consider those things. Flexibility really has to be part of that as you go and look at your solutions, and that's how you get that value. Because value is not just the ROI. None of these software products, terribly sorry, all of the guys from our friends at Acumen here, none of the software solutions are the magic bullet. It's the combination of your requirements, your needs, matching those things to the way you want to do. And what we often see, and you've seen it as often as I have, is people pulling out of software solutions, blaming software solutions, where actually the software really isn't to blame. It's the way it's implemented, and it's the way it's grown organically over time.
It still has to be configured. It still has to be set up for the organization. The thing, it really is, at the end of the day, the combination of doing your homework, getting yourself ready so that you can take that software and match it to your needs and configure it so it matches your company and the culture that will ensue, not just the one today, but the one later. But also taking a good pick to have a visionary product. So you see one that is introducing new conventions, new ways of dealing with things, being able to deal with emerging technologies and the changes in the technological market. So that they're already delivering ideas that will inspire you, but you may not use them. You may use them right away, or might change the way you're working because they might actually improve the way you're working.
Absolutely.
And with that note, I'd like to throw the ball back to our friends at Acumen.
All right, thank you, folks. So with that, we're going to hand it over to Troy Trudel. Troy, you may begin.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and thanks everybody for joining today.
Next slide.
I was going to say, if we go to the next slide, please. So we'll get into a demo here in a moment, but one of the things that I always like to talk to people about, and I think the topic today has really touched on a lot of these things already. But the reason that Acumen has really built the platform we have is because we've seen a lot of these challenges that you're seeing on the slide here over the years really kind of persist inside of the four walls of the companies that we work with. So things like users being disengaged, meaning there's a gap between how I experience technology or can work with technology in my personal life versus how I'm typically experiencing technology at work. There's unengaging experiences. If you think of all of the things that we can do in our personal lives with, whether it's our mobile devices or working with brands, as I'm a consumer, things are always very tailored to me, very personalized, and I get an experience that feels less than or not really anonymous. But inside of work, if you think about typical employee portals, when you go there, everybody sees the same experience. Whether it's me or Richard logging in, we're going to get the same news article, the same links, the same everything. And that's not really a great experience for people when you really want to be presenting them with something that's more tailored to who they are. And then the last two items that we really focus on are this whole notion of technology being disconnected these days. The advent of cloud technology and cloud services has been great for everybody. We all get great solutions, whether it's an HR system or ERP or CRM that we use to run our businesses. But the challenge is when we start layering multitudes of those systems into our business, we're now asking our employees to become experts in all of them and learn all of them and learn how to traverse all of them. So disconnected technologies can lead to actually lost productivity instead of increased productivity. And then the final one is, really collaboration hurdles, and both in terms of, who I collaborate with and how I collaborate. Finding people inside of large distributed organizations can be very difficult. And then understanding how I'm going to engage with them with all these different tools that I have can be very confusing as well. So that's kind of the challenge statement of why, we have built the software that we have. And if we go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about some of the ways that we approach this and some of the things that our customers, at least, are very concerned about when they're building these types of solutions. So you'll see the right employee experience in quotes there. At Akumina, we don't believe that there is this kind of holy grail of a digital experience platform that's a plug-and-play piece of software that you put in place and then just solves all of your organization's needs. We believe everybody has kind of unique challenges with inside of those challenge statements I mentioned before, and they've got their own business processes they need to run. But what we do see are some themes across all of the projects that we work on that organizations are paying more and more attention to these days. So things like mobility, whether it's the entire workforce or a portion of your workforce, mobility is going to be increasingly more and more important. Specifically, if you've got remote, deskless, or field workers, those folks don't typically have the opportunity to be in front of a desktop or a laptop or a large screen, right? They're on their mobile devices, tablets, and phones. Personalization is something we see in every single project. And now organizations will go either shallow or deep here, meaning they'll lightly personalize the experience, all the way out to actually creating full persona-driven experiences. And I can show you some of that today when we get into the demo. But that's always part of what we are working on with our customers, because again, that's about leveling the playing field between the experiences employees have in their personal lives versus at work, right? You want to give them that same type of experience where things are tailored to them. They have the ability to opt into things. They can see things that are more important to them and not just anonymous experiences. And then the next kind of three are more kind of talking about how businesses operate inside the digital workplace these days and how they want to, at least. So our customers want to be able to transform the way their employees work. So give them things like better self-service or tailored experiences based on who I am. Maybe I'm a retail field worker, and instead of showing me the intranet when I log in, show me a portal that gives me all the information that I need to see to work with customers as they come in to my store and want to interact with me. Maybe it's product information, maybe it's inventory, maybe it's things about that customer. But give me something that allows me to do my job better. The connected nature that we're talking about is really about how do I take those disconnected technologies and connect them closer together. So as an employee, I don't have to go in to each of those individual line of business applications every single time I want to accomplish a simple task. About 20% of the tasks inside of those line of business systems are all that employees are looking to do on a day-to-day basis. So I make them go in and experience 100% of that solution, give them that interactivity, that actionability in one place. And then the last thing is that kind of the innovation our customers want to be able to innovate over time. They want to be able to implement new capabilities, new line of business applications when needed, new workloads. If they're onboarding new people or they're onboarding new processes, they want to be able to bring those into the workplace without having to re-engineer everything. And so those are, again, the themes that we see across projects that we work on. If we go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit more about how kind of we approach the market in terms of how we're built and how we view the market. And what you're seeing here is kind of just a snapshot of the different types of experiences that you can build with our platform, or at least those things that our customers are looking for. And so from the top of the slide down to the bottom, we're talking about things like modern intranet. That is still a very relevant workload that people are trying to build, kind of that entry point for employees to come in and start getting their jobs done, whether that is very content heavy, whether it's very collaboration heavy. Our customers, again, have the ability to choose what that looks like, but that is still a very strong workload that our customers are looking for. Communications is very important to our customers. So how are they communicating things that are going on in the business, or things that are important to a very specific part of their business? That is a very big part of what our customers are trying to do. So not just anonymous news articles, but maybe I work in a very specific part of the business and I need communications and information about that part of the business. That's what a communications platform is all about. Collaboration is all about allowing people to work better together. So how do we surface the activities and the actions from those collaboration systems in a way, again, that's very frictionless and that employees can interact with very easily, even if you're using multiple collaboration platforms, which, by the way, most organizations have 3 or 4 of them that they've implemented. So how are we going to surface all of those together in a way that makes sense? Maybe Mike uses something like a marketing specific tool like Slack, whereas I am in the sales function, I might be using Chatter inside of Salesforce. Well, how do we surface those things more meaningfully inside of the digital workplace for each of us that work across those different tools? That's something that's part of our platform. And then certainly integration, we talked about connected systems on the last slide. Integration is something that all of our customers want. And again, how deep they want to go with that certainly differs from customer to customer. I'll show you some different examples today. But there is that need or want to be able to surface that data from those other platforms that we ask employees to interact with in a more meaningful way. And then again, we talked about mobility at the first point on that last slide, but that is always something that's critical to customers. Some customers want to actually have native mobile apps and native mobility, and we can offer that if they want that. We can go beyond just responsive design if that's what they want to do. It's not a requirement. They can still get mobility natively with our platform by using responsive design, literally the site rastering itself according to the device that I'm viewing it on. But some customers want more closeness to that device, and they want to use things like notifications and location and cameras and all of those good things that native mobile app could bring. So that's an option on our platform. And then finally, this is one of the things that we believe strongly in. If you're going to start delivering better and effective content and communications to employees, you need a way for the people in charge of that content, those communications, to be able to manage things. So a strong content management system is very critical as well. So those are the key components of our solution. Again, we're much more of a platform. We view each customer as unique. We certainly have very kind of rapidly deployable solutions here that we can give our customers. So if they want to launch very quickly and they want to launch these solutions with a lot less friction, they can. But we don't lock them in, and we allow them to build the things that are unique to them. And I'll show you some of those today. If we go to the next slide, please. And then really, if you take a look at kind of stepping away from technology, what are our customers really trying to do? Well, these are the things they're trying to do internally, right? They're trying to create a more connected workplace. And that's about getting me as an employee closer to the information I need, closer to those other systems of record that I need to interact with, whether it's an HRIS system or an IT help desk system. And they're trying to allow people to go in and work closer together. So how do I find those people inside my organization that I can work with to get my job done? They're also trying to streamline their operations. So again, connecting things more closely together to make people's lives easier, make their jobs more efficient to accomplish, really make them more effective in their roles inside the organization, and really make the most of the investments they have in all of those other technology platforms. They're also trying to reinforce and reimagine company culture. meaning that if I'm onboarding employees and I'm spending a lot of time recruiting and bringing in employees, whether I'm hiring them away from other organizations or bringing them in as interns or recent graduates, how do I then make sure that I'm keeping them and I'm keeping them inside our company culture and reinforcing that culture? That's really what that communications engine is about. And so they're interested in how are they going to be able to do that and make sure that they're fostering and engaging those employees. And then certainly this next one really kind of goes hand in hand there. So how do they set themselves apart? How do they make themselves kind of a desired destination? Well, providing these better experiences will certainly do that. Keeping those employees happy will certainly do that. And then certainly having more effective tools and technologies in place when people come into the job shadow or interested in working at a company are all going to do those types of things. And so those, again, are just kind of very high-level things that our customers are trying to do, not really kind of thinking it through the lens of technology. All of these certainly can be accomplished with working with great technology like we provide, and certainly great consulting services like partners like Geodesic can provide. But it's really about stepping back and just understanding what are our customers actually trying to do. And that's something that we do, I think, very well as an organization, both when we're building our products, but certainly when we're engaging with customers and talking with them. But we're really trying to understand what are their missions, what are they trying to do. So I think if we move forward, we can move into a quick demo of some of these things. And I think I can probably take over screen sharing at this point. Awesome. So you should be seeing my screen now. And I'm going to start with an onboarding experience here, or an employee-based experience, but then I'll get into a couple of other experiences here. So one of the things that our customers look to do with our platform is build unique experiences for people based on either where they are in the organization or where they are in the journey with that organization. So again, that retail experience was one of those. But this is a different experience. This is kind of a day one experience for an employee. When I come into the organization and I'm getting onboarded, well, I'm typically not going to have, say, a laptop or something yet. It maybe hasn't been delivered to my house if I'm a remote worker, or I certainly wouldn't have it if I'm on my way into the office to start my first day. That's probably one of the first tasks that I need to accomplish. But I can certainly be given, a mobile interface like this that allows me to come into the organization and understand, what's going on my first day. I can see news and information certainly about the company. I get a nice welcome message here that I can actually use as my employee badge. So that allows me to go in and understand what's going on that day and sign into the building. If I'm there for the first time, I can get a nice welcome message from my CEO. Certainly can get information about where I'm heading. And then if I scroll down here, I can now see important critical information for me. So, who's my new hire buddy or mentor? Who's my career manager? Or maybe, my HR contact. And then I can see things like my onboarding readiness. So what have I done already? Well, I've completed about half the tasks I need to get onboarded, but I've got some other things I need to accomplish here. I've got to pick up my laptop. I've got to go in and meet with my HR representative to get onboarded. I've got to go in and do some safety training. And so as I accomplish these things, that readiness meter will certainly tick up. But this gives me an experience so I can understand what's going on in my day without having to, again, wade through that, a Word document somebody sends me, or go to the corporate intranet and search for kind of new hire training or anything like that. I can be given an experience like this. Versus if I'm an employee that's already onboarded and I'm further on in my career, I might see an experience like this where, okay, now I'm getting more traditional, news and information, or I'm getting an alert from the IT department. I'm seeing things like my PTO or tasks that are assigned to me, and I'm seeing things like my training that I'm accomplishing. Or, maybe I'm 6 years into my career and I want to start looking at other job opportunities. I can see some of those things as well. So that's just kind of different employee journey-based experiences that our customers try to build. There's certainly other types of experiences that we work on with our customers. So this here is kind of getting more into a more traditional type of intranet experience, but more productivity-based than maybe people have seen in the past, where if I log in here, I'm now seeing certainly news and announcements and information like that, but now I'm seeing my tasks for the day. I'm seeing things like my meetings and my emails down this left-hand rail. I'm seeing things like my time off balance and things that are awaiting my approval. So I'm seeing all of these things that are relevant to me, that I need to accomplish or that are important to me, in one place. That goes back to that connected nature that I was talking about before. And I'm even seeing, again, people that I can actually start collaborating with, people on my team that I'm working with or could be working with. So again, kind of tackling some of those collaboration hurdles as well. So again, that's just another type of experience that you can build with our software. And then finally, from a front-end perspective, we certainly provide that kind of more communications-based experiences as well. So this is a news experience inside of that same site where now I'm seeing different streams of information from the company. So here's some blogs from maybe IT or marketing and communications, or if I scroll down even further, I'm seeing things like breaking company news or special announcements, things that are being fed to everybody in the organization. But if I scroll even further, I can actually start to see things that are tailored to what I'm interested in. So a section for my news that I can actually go in and tailor based on the things that are interesting to me. So again, reducing kind of that anonymous experience. And then finally, as I mentioned in that slide where we talked about all the different experiences, all of this is backed by a world-class content management system that allows me to go in as a content author or a site administrator and come in and actually create and edit these types of articles or post those blogs or update menus. And really it's about giving me a very easy to use interface that allows me to come in and control that content if that's my role. Again, this is not something a site visitor would be doing, but it's something as a content author, I'm able to come in and start working with content or creating new content very seamlessly to foster the care and feeding of that front-end communications engine, right? Because the best ability for me to go in as an employee and filter things and see what I want to see really falls down if there's not new and relevant content for me to interact with. And so this content management system allows people in corporate communications, HR, finance, IT, all of those different departments to create and build content and pages and new experiences that then can be consumed by those employees. So I know we're getting close to time, and there was a lot to share there, but I did want to cover off on those topics pretty quickly and just give you a flavor of the types of things that people are accomplishing with our software.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy. So with that, let's jump into the Q&A. So our first question is from Jack in the audience, and his question is, you mentioned that how do you convince an executive team or a CIO in particular who hasn't totally bought into tech or might even be somewhat anti-tech? And Richard and Christian, do you guys want to kick that one off?
Sure, love to.
Do you want to start?
Sure. Well, everyone's a little bit different. And C-suite are just human beings. So the first part is figuring out exactly what their objectives are for the company and trying to align a little bit with the actual needs that are there without always having to be a tech-first topic. Because at the end of the day, it's about a organizational working topic, how the organization functions and how it's organized. And the technology actually is just the enabler, and it gives the tactical examples on how you can solve those things. Talking on those business objectives, talking on those direct needs that have clearly already been communicated, hopefully, is a good start. Richard?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. So, I mean, with dealing with anybody, it's about finding what their motivations are. And it's probably actually not tech is the problem in itself. It's probably that there is some experience of a lot of people coming in trying to sell tech solutions or within the business.
I bought that and it went wrong. I bought that and it went wrong.
I got no value out of it. Or last time we spent $500,000 on the internet or intranet, and I still only see the menus. I've seen one CEO that actually said, this whole news stream is just clutter. I don't care whether there's a bicycle clinic today. I want to see business news there. And that's great. He has one perspective there. Employees probably want to know there's a bicycle clinic. So improving relevance, making the technology work for them is really important.
I looked at it once and I didn't see anything of meaning, so I let it left it alone.
Yes, or the only person who uses it is my secretary. I've also had. But nonetheless, if you make her life more easy, then she will help you convince the CEO. Yeah. Does Mike, that answer that?
Yeah, the next question is from Laura in the audience. She wants to know, it can be tough to get buy-in from other line of businesses because ultimately they have different goals and objectives for their digital workplace. And Troy, maybe you can answer. So the question is, can you create personalized experiences for customers based off a role within Acumatica?
Sure, yeah, and we definitely see that. I think, part of working with our customers is kind of bringing those line of businesses together and allowing them to realize that they can all show the content and the information they need to employees in more of a centralized experience together, and really start to get them to think about engaging the whole employee, right? HR's got their tasks and information they need an employee to be aware of. IT has the same. Corp comms and marketing want to be able to communicate to the employees. But if you don't think of the employee holistically as needing to understand all of those things, you could end up building them silos, where now I've got to go to HR's portal for certain things, and IT's portal for another, and now I go to a different portal for my comms. If you could bring all of those together, you can actually allow the line of businesses to work together to provide a better experience across all of those workloads. And that's something that we work on with our customers quite a bit.
Awesome, thank you. And Troy, this is actually a follow-up question from Laura. She wants to know, she's in a regulated industry, actually healthcare industry, she mentions, how do you maintain data privacy or governance for regulated industries that can come with hefty fines if you're not being able to maintain that data privacy?
Sure. So one of the things is we definitely take care to make sure that our platform is going to be compliant with all of those data privacy, so things like GDPR and others. We're also, the way we architect our software, not to get too technical, is we're not actually storing the data that our customers are working with. That's being stored in those systems of record. So it could be a Microsoft-centric solution. Maybe it's SharePoint or Office 365 or Azure. It could be a third-party system like a Workday or Oracle, where those systems are highly secure. They're very regulated as well. And our customers are able to lean on the security and protections from those authentication systems and those security protocols because, we're not storing their data. We're simply allowing them to surface it more effectively and work with it more effectively. But again, we have made sure that our platform as well is compliant for those protections.
Yeah, and just a quick note to that, we actually included in this presentation, if you guys go to the GoToWebinar panel, the handout section, select the drop-down. We actually have a modern internet buyer's guide, which kind of breaks down like what what to look for and how you can maintain that with different internet solutions as you're going through these processes. In Shadi Katan, I see you asked a similar question. Hopefully that answered it around compliance and security. And for anyone else online, if you guys do have questions, just as a reminder, you can ask questions in the GoToWebinar panel by selecting the Q&A dropdown. Just make sure you submit the questions to all panelists. So our next question is from Richard in the audience. He wants to know, it seems like there's a lot of efforts you need to collect those business needs. How much needs to actually be planned before launching this type of project? Richard, you want to kick that? Richard or Christian, you want to kick that one off?
Sure. Shall I start this time? Okay. That actually depends. There is quite a lot of effort to get a really good set of business cases, and it really use cases for your solution. It actually makes sense to invest that time. This is normally where you go and you turn to someone like Geodesic, a consulting company, to help you out there. What we do is have a library of those cases that we can deploy, and people can look at those and prioritize those rather than inventing the wheel every time. So for us, it actually goes quite a lot quicker. I think if you were to say, I'm going to spend sort of 3 or 4 days with each of the major business areas, you're already in a better place than you would have been if you'd done nothing.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's your classic requirements engineering that you're looking at, and when you're actually considering what to do, getting the stakeholders in, but then also starting from scratch just takes a bit of time. It takes a great deal of effort because you have to be inspired enough to know roughly what you want. We can help with a little bit of the bulk of that, but the real effort then comes into prioritizing. What are those matched to your needs? What is more important to you? how much of that do you need, how much of it that you don't, and then taking that and carrying it on to the rest of the project when you're actually defining what you want and what makes your organization different from the run-of-the-mill. I want to be able to post news. I want to be able to communicate.
You know, everyone wants to be able to post their news, and the question is, how do you want to do that, and what are the cases that you're trying to put together in order to do that? And I think if you spend enough time gathering those things, and you can use them correctly, I mean, as I say, what we do is we have the library, we prioritize the library. Those libraries are linked direct to questions for RFIs, and we can send that out to a vendor or a number of vendors and just make sure that they're ticking the right boxes based on the use cases that we defined.
So you can speed up your RFP process.
So we speed up the RFP process, but you know, that's the way we do it. And if you do it for yourself, then again, I would still work that way. Take your use cases, think about what that means in terms of questions that I need to ask, go and ask those questions. Ask a number of different people, get inspired by some of those things for sure. And
continue to document them and carry them on through the project and after launch.
Absolutely, because when you use them to select software, you're using them at that very broad level. As you prioritize them, you're generating that minimum lovable product. And you're also generating your proof that you've actually done what you were going to do.
Hope that answers the question. I mean, if there's more questions to it, we're happy to answer those outside the webinar at any time.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of our speakers today. Thank you for giving us a wonderful presentation. I'm going to throw up a poll real quick. If you guys are interested in Acumen and Geodesic reaching out to you, feel free to let us know. I want to thank Richard, Christian, and Troy for their presentation today. As a reminder, these sessions are recorded, so we will be sending it out to registrants. So if you sign on a little early and missed the beginning part, or have colleagues that wanted to see this, we'll be sending those out within 48 hours. As I had mentioned, if you'd like to access that handout for the Internet Buyer's Guide, that is available in the handout section. We'll try and send that out as well. With that, I'm going to leave this up for another 10 seconds, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.